Yeah, because I read it.
I'll try to separate.
Because I read everything.
Just got a few comments on like that I didn't put out there and filled out.
We have to know where you're
Coming in through the resolution and then probably go on to the side.
Our zoning guidelines know that because that place is condemned.
That's what we're talking.
Good.
Bring that up.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
That before me, or you can do it there, and I'll address it too, because I've had complaints from the dog and some other people. Bring it up there.
Did you have mine 2 or 3 weeks ago? Did you have any trouble?
Sore.
I'm not concerned with that. No, it gets sore after like
I found the one of the worst shots.
I can announce that.
Yeah. We do the.
Not as bad as single.
Yeah, so.
Like on my leg.
It doesn't say Okay, we'll call the April meeting to order. I want to remind everybody that the meeting is being recorded, and staying in the meeting implies consent. I'd like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will take public comment now for items that are on the agenda. Sure.
Go ahead.
Kim, do you want me to wait?
Why don't, can she wait and do this during my mayor's, because it has to do with something I.
Oh, absolutely, sure. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the last council meeting. Any corrections or?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written for March 8th, 2021.
I have a motion, seconded by Burnell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Treasurer's report for March of 2021. There's some major items discussed further on in the meeting, so I'll wait till then to.
One question,
Sure.
under what we have listed as highway aid funds, was that previously referred to as liquid fuels?
Correct.
Did the state change the name of that, or is that just something we did?
Just a name.
Okay, but that's the monies for liquid fuels for
Correct.
use.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report for March of 2021.
The motion seconded by Dave Reesler. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. You sign the waiver, you sign it. Okay. I only have a couple items tonight. The railroad, the NCR people requested, when Kim and Inga and I met with them, they requested a donation. Partly because of COVID and partly because they just need some additional funding. Well, the borough does an amusement tax, which is about $15,000. And what I said was I would come and we would talk about possibly donating some of the amusement tax back. And I think what would be fair is, at least for the first year, and because of COVID, if we donated 1/3 of whatever we collect in the amusement tax back to NCR. They're a nonprofit organization. They bring a lot of business to town, and they're supporting our efforts. They're allowing us to advertise on their website for recreation items, for concerts and things like that. So by allowing us to do that, it's saving us money in advertising.
And you said what, half of?
I said 1/3.
A third?
Yeah, so that'd be about $5,000.
Well, they're only paying $5,000 because of COVID.
Well, it would be for this year. Things are
2021.
right, so things are picking up. Hopefully there won't be,
yeah.
there won't be another problem. So, but I mean, this would help them out and would also help the people of New Freedom out by bringing more business into town. So hopefully we would have a more prosperous year. So I would entertain a motion if you're so inclined, or some discussion.
Do we need, we have an ordinance for the amusement tax. Do we need to amend that to?
I don't think so.
No,
It's a straight donation.
Correct, it's the use of proceeds.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll move that we take 1/3 of the income from our amusement tax for this year and donate it to the railroad.
Is that what you're looking for? Either you're looking for a fractional amount or you're looking for a dollar amount?
I think a fractional amount is
Okay.
appropriate. I mean, we just know that it's gonna probably be around in the 5 to 7.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be higher.
But I'll second that, Dave.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Andy, not knowing any more about this, were they not eligible for any federal assistance programs?
They receive federal assistance. They went through a whole detailed list of what they have to pay. And Kim, you might help me out here if you remember, but just to refurbish the one engine was like, I think, $120,000. I mean, it was like, the numbers are just phenomenal what they're spending, and they get a lot of donations. They don't make enough money at all by taking people out. Their primary source of funding would be like this money from other people. Reed Anderson, rest in peace, was a big supporter. So yes, so that's what we're trying to do is support them in that effort to rebuild, to paint, to refurbish, to
And they're adding another car. I think
They're adding
that's-
another car.
yeah, that is, ribbon cutting, I think, is this Friday, the 15th.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
I think Thursday
Yes.
is Thursday. So, I mean, that cost them a lot of money, and they've got several engines. It's good for the town, it's good for our businesses, and they're referring folks that come in, buses that take a train ride, they're referring them to our local businesses. So that's good. I think any money that we donate to them, we're gonna get back in property taxes and real estate taxes from keeping these businesses in town going. So it's a good
It's a win-win.
win-win. It's a win-win-win.
Hey, Andy, can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, I do a lot of things down at the road. I do the Cowboys and the Civil War things and all that. Most people know that I do that. But the thing that makes the draw is the steam engine. And that's the one that costs bucks. Because some of those repairs, those pieces that they have to get are unbelievable, because they gotta be handmade. So that's quite a cost. And I think it does bring a lot of stuff to town here, because when they have those different like the Cowboys and that brings things into town. So that actually benefits, like, well, I'm just gonna use them for an example, Pisano's and anybody that has rudders. And I mean, that's all a benefit to us in town here.
Carroll Sealing just put in a new deli where Nardi's used to be. Those of you who may be, you know, my age, which is no one, I think. But, you know, she's just getting that started. That'd be a great drop-off spot for her to do some box lunches or different things for people to take on the train or after. So it's gonna be very beneficial.
Actually, we're exactly the same age, you just look better, that's.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm older.
It's the hair.
Yes. Anything, Bruce, did you have anything else?
Only to say that, while I can hear all of this and, you know, businesses may benefit, I would love to see an audit report in a year from now that proves it. I mean, that if businesses are making so much, maybe the businesses should be donating, not the taxpayers.
Well, they do have relationships with a lot of the businesses. They have advertisement signs right on that thing there, and they do have.
Well, I don't doubt that they have the relationship, but I'm saying, when you dip into the public till to support another organization, I think you have a responsibility to demonstrate that what you're claiming is true financially. I'm willing to wait a year and see what happens, but I think you owe it to the taxpayers to take their money to prove that they did get it back.
I think that's the reason council is making it a percentage of the amusement tax, which is actually paid for by the sale of the train tickets. So, I mean, the money actually won't come from you and I, it'll come from the
Each
sale of the tickets.
Each ticket sale,
As a,
the amusement tax is added to that.
I know what the amusement tax is. I mean, I was around when we passed it. But my point is, once that money comes into our treasury, it's our money at that point. Not the railroads, not the ticket money, it's our money.
Yes, but are you anticipating doing it only for 1 year and then revisit the situation?
well, it was a motion for this year, so.
Just for this
and
year.
again,
Just
because,
for this
you know,
year, so we
because
can
of a variety
revisit.
of instances, I mean, they haven't been, what are they at, like 25% capacity for all of last year, so I mean.
Yeah. I think the year before, they brought in $17,000 in amusement tax. 2020, I think it's gonna be less than 5,000. So that shows you how their business has been hurt in that year. And the last thing we wanna see is them go out of business like the dinner train ended up doing. And anything that I think we can do to help businesses. Trail towns, we have a meeting, I think, with trail towns this week too. They're benefiting some of the businesses. They're also benefiting the train, I think, to a minor degree. But I know it's taxpayer money, but I think it'll come back in exponentially with the businesses that they're going to support on their
I think
website.
just adding another car, once it's at full capacity, will be bringing in even more in amusement taxes and.
Then we're gonna be giving them.
All right, yeah, so. Anything else? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
My vote is aye. I just wanted to mention quickly, we have funding for a third concert, maybe a fourth, I'm fucking, but that's going to be by Gem Craft Homes, and it'll be September 19th. And it's up to $1,500 for a band. The band has not been selected yet. Rec Council is going to select the band for this one. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm going to read a letter from Lane, and I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name because I'm sure I won't do it justice.
Paletti.
Okay. Lane wrote, and he said, "I'm writing to figure out about why there is not a skate park in New Freedom and how might we be able to get one. I have many friends around here who like to skateboard but don't have a specific spot to unless it's in their driveway. According to the New Freedom skateboarding laws, it's unlawful to skateboard in public streets and sidewalks. There really isn't a place for all the kids around here to make friends to meet up and skate together. The skate park would allow people to have a specific skating spot when they want to skate. So my overall question is there a way we can get a skate park in New Freedom, and if so, how?" Thank you. I would like to ask Rec to look into it again. I mean, I know we've talked about it in the past, and the insurance was prohibitive, but there's another way that we can do it. I've done some research. If we took a piece of land and leased it, and you can check this out, you're gonna have to,
Okay, yeah.
obviously, but if we leased it to a nonprofit, like for instance, if Lane's parents or another group wanted to put together a small nonprofit, and we would lease a piece of ground to them, they could put in the skate park, and then they could take care of the insurance or waivers or however they would want to do that. It would be an LLC, a limited liability company, so I think that would be very limited, although obviously council's kind of supporting it by saying they could have it there, and that's where you would come in. I don't know where our liability would end. I would really like to do that and see if Rec can come up with something.
The unfortunate part about it is I've sat in on Rec almost every meeting and talked to Tanya, who previously took care of the insurance end of it. Our insurance company will drop us if we put in a skate park. They will not cover that because of the liability issues, and actuaries, I think, have this for the state, and I'm gonna bring something else up that's a problem too when it comes to insurance, but they will not insure the borough for a skate park. So someone else would have to incur, I think that's what you're saying.
Well, I think that's what, yeah, that's what we're trying.
Liability, and that you have to look into, or the organization.
Well, but that's what could be done. If it were a separate nonprofit organization, Skaters of New Freedom or whatever, and you decide, and you put in a skate park on a piece of leased ground, then at that point, you have no assets. You're kind of judgment proof. You could get the insurance, you could get people to sign waivers, and I think that, you know, it's been done many other places. Colorado has skate parks all over the place. I think it's a legitimate way to approach it that might get around the fact that the borough has no insurance for that kind of an activity. So I would like to look into that through Rec and through the solicitor to see if that is a viable alternative. So I would like further discussion and or a motion that we assign that to Rec and ask our solicitor to look into it.
I'll talk to Rick.
Do we need a motion, or do you just want
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion.
Okay. All right, so we'll do that then.
You have contact information there?
I have it at home, I didn't bring it with me, yeah. Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Brian, you weren't at the last meeting.
Correct.
Rec meeting.
Yeah, that's.
You don't want me to read the minutes?
No, this isn't for rec, rec is later. This is your mayor's report.
Okay. Getting my thoughts together. I have a couple of things for rec. Roads, were we able to find a concrete?
Yeah, that's later on in the thing, but yes, well, you want to do that?
Because I'm getting hammered.
Right. Kinsley is going to be the concrete curbing contractor for the paver, for the water people. And they came to an agreement, I guess, today. And Kinsley will be starting within the next couple of weeks to do the concrete paving, or to do the concrete curbing work, which has to be done so you can pave, because you have to go between two sides to pave the road. So that should be done, and again, I apologize, but it's probably not gonna be done until mid-May, I guess. Once that is
So we're looking at the
done.
resurfacing then.
Now, there are areas, and we started to talk about this before, but there are areas like Main Street probably could be done sooner. So if we can start the paving, that's a PennDOT, New Freedom joint effort.
Okay.
We can probably get that done prior to the curbing being done on Franklin.
And we'll keep the public notified as to where we're gonna do and when on our, on the webpage.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
actually.
'cause, like I said, we're really getting hammered on this. You all know, you're all probably getting hammered on it. That was the one thing. An advance notice for parking, I kinda got hit on that from a couple of residents. Some of this was during the snowstorm. They ended up with, they didn't get citations, but a letter that if the car wasn't moved, they could tow it. Well, they were out of town, and they only got the notice, I think, a day before. That might not have been a snowstorm, that might have been some work on Franklin. So if we can make sure that we get these people notified ahead of time. I saw your.
I actually checked on that, and as far as I can tell, everyone was notified. The notices were sent out before they went out of town.
Okay, they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
They actually never called the borough office.
No, they
even
called
though
me.
Point of order, the mayor is not the borough office.
That's right. They called me, I
yeah.
called the borough office. It's-
Yeah, so,
So,
but yeah, I think, I mean, you know, yeah, there's gonna be little gotchas all the time, but I think overall the borough office is doing a pretty good job, and the contractor's doing a pretty good job of notifying people, so.
and Andrew has a good idea. Are you gonna talk about that?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's on.
So,
his-
okay, we'll put on for that. That's a great thing, great idea. I'm gonna say something about pickleball, because that has to do, we were hit up with the tennis courts, they wanted to play pickleball down there. Now we do have the community center open, 45 people. There's been communication, we let them know, at least someone from rec council let them know that they can play pickleball. They don't want to anymore. They're over at the Y. The Y charges them $45, plus Silver Sneakers pay nothing to play pickleball. So they're not gonna pay $5 less and then have to clean it afterwards, worry about finding somebody to clean it. So they're just gonna stay with the Y.
So they're happy where they are.
That's
So they're
good.
happy where they are.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely great.
Yeah, it works out good for them.
Great news.
and We don't have to worry about cleaning or any of that. We can use it for something else, or the senior center can use it for something. That's the only thing I have for that. I mean, police department's coming up, and I have something else when it comes to Rec. Donna?
Okay. All right, from the last week's meeting, the 2021 Chevy Tahoe vehicle just came in last week. It did come in slightly over budget. The chief said that I guess because of COVID, some prices have gone up. The department does have 3 vehicles that have reached their life expectancy with the department. 2 of them are from 2020 and 1 is from 2021. He is going to use Municipid to sell those 3 vehicles. He thinks he can get more money than he would have gotten for the trade-in. The money from the sales of those vehicles will be used to help equip the new Tahoe, and those vehicles should be gone from the parking lot by the end of the month. The chief stated that the call volume was up slightly last month for all of the areas. He attributed it to warmer weather and things opening up, but there are no major incidents anywhere. The chief brought up that our department participates in the York County Youth Diversionary Program. That is an alternative to the juvenile court system. It is only for first-time offenders for summary and misdemeanor offenses, and the officers can refer the juveniles to this program at their discretion. He gave us an update on Sergeant T. He is home recuperating post-surgery. He does have a long way to go. He's building up his body, and he'll be having more treatments in the future. There is a GoFundMe page for him. You just can search Dan Teague and you'll find it to help with medical expenses. And I'm told there's a VFW motorcycle ride.
They're having a motorcycle ride on Saturday.
Okay, for that.
Have about 150 motorcycles leaving Marge Goodfellow Park now, 12:30.
And then the only other thing is Buck Buchanan from Shrewsbury had brought up that the department's vehicle fleet is aging. Many of the vehicles have a lot of high miles on them. So the capital budget for this year, in addition to including the $25,000 for the Tahoe that we just bought, it does include $25,000 for a future vehicle, because we are going to start having to turn them over as well. And that was all.
Just so you know, there were, New Freedom had 88 instances between 228 and 327, which is a little high for us. None of them were major, some of them just, fire alarms, service calls for medical emergencies, which they do respond, fortunately, because sometimes we have, our ambulances are out, and it's a little while till Glen Rock or Stewartstown or whoever's next due can get in, and our police do respond to that, and if necessary, start rendering aid and CPR until they can get there, and there's usually quite a number of those every month. But most of the incidences were minor.
All right, thank you, Don. Manager report.
All right, everybody has a copy of the manager's report in the packet tonight. I'm not going to go through and read everything unless anybody has any questions on that. A couple of the other items with regards to the council chambers and audio-video proposals. I have received one proposal and there's another one in process. So once we receive both of those, we'll present those to council for their review, most likely during the May meeting. One of the items I did want to spend a little bit of time on, and you have some information in your packet tonight, is regarding the Savvy Citizen proposal. This is, if you got a chance to look through the packet tonight, this is a resident communication tool that we can use, New Freedom can consider using as a way to engage more residents outside of a social media platform. This is basically a one-way push communication to your residents, similar to an emergency notification system, but a little bit more advanced with what it can handle. This can be used for emergency notifications and non-emergency notifications. So in the form of road closures, events, utility outages, trash recycling delays, recreation programs, different meetings. So the meeting tonight could be pushed out in the morning. and the user will receive that notification in a manner that they choose to, whether that's a text message, an email, or a push notification on their phone through the app. It's a very simple platform to use on the back end at a very low and reasonable cost per year. Some of the other benefits are incorporation with the website. So the new website, as we're working with that, this Savvy Citizen has a plugin that will directly work with our new website. And you can kind of see how that would look on page 18 of the proposal. So this would be the calendar function on the website. And that would be, again, direct plug-in, so we're not duplicating processes. We're entering the information in the Savvy Citizen. It's pushing out to the residents while it's uploading to the website.
Another neat thing is, you know how the senior center always wants to know when we're having an activity and what the schedule is for the community center? That could all be on here, and then they could just look here. In fact, they could even get a notification if something changes. It would go directly to them and stop any communication difficulties.
So Andy, how do you get the community signed up?
Yeah, that's a good question. We could use existing information that we have on file through billing records to get the word out. We could also develop posters. Part of the initial proposal is to allocate funds to reach your residents and to get that information out. So we put it, any information, obviously the office is still closed here, but we can put information in the lobby, in the foyer. We can try to get it on the website, the current website. We can try to do maybe an email blast through some utility billing records. Other than that, other locations, or maybe community center.
How about, I thought in the past, we tried to get email addresses for residents, and we put a notice on a utility bill, water, sewer, tax, or something like that, so that everybody's gonna get a bill, mostly unless you're a renter, unless you're a tenant, your landlord may get that, but most people are probably gonna get a water bill or something like that, so if there's space, now that was an issue, I think, when we tried to do that before, is find enough space to put all the information we wanted to put on the utility bill, but, they go out, people, presumably, they read their bills, so they know what they pay, and, maybe that's another way to reach everybody, and it's, well, they do it quarterly, so.
We could even have it run through a printer, and on the back of the utility bill, it could print, the information for the sign up.
Yeah, as long as they know enough to turn the utility bill over, that there's some information on the reverse side that will be useful for them, yeah.
Now, we're saying a sign up, but this is an actual app, am I correct? That you would download onto your iPhone, what have you?
Right, correct, yeah.
What about people that don't have access to that technology? Are they kind of out in the cold?
They're waiting on the meeting.
I think that's the argument that you're going to hear, no matter what it is. I think that's the difficult thing to come around. I would say the majority of your citizens will be able to use this platform based on its user functionality.
Even if they just use the push notification. Most people have email, even if they don't use apps on their phone and whatnot. Most people at least have a computer with email.
You'd be
Very
surprised
small
how many
percent.
people in New Freedom, older people, do not
Do not
have
have-
computers.
A lot of,
I have helped so many people try to sign up for vaccines because they don't have computers, they don't have smartphones.
yeah.
So I just kind of use mine and my computer, they send me the information, I try to get them an appointment because, back before, they had phone numbers out there that you could call. It was tough. And look at our seniors, what's the percentage? We're like 20% over the age of 70?
Yeah, but,
Is
I
it-
mean, even the ones that are older, it's still a very small percent that don't use any kind of technology. I mean, Vernell and I both get text messages and emails on our phone, and we're older, so you are IT smart, and you're old, you know, so, not that you're old. But,
Unfortunately, I remember Fortran, you know, you people don't even know what Fortran is.
when I took comp sci, I had to use punch cards.
That's what it was, yeah.
May I speak? One of the things that the community center, what the senior citizen center is doing is communicating electronically. And they are training all of the older people that at least are interacting with the senior center. And they're trying to get them up to date. And again, it may not be a smartphone, and it may have to be an email, but at least it's something. And even if they have the address for, you know, the website, and if they have the ability and aren't afraid, they might be able to go on the website and get the information.
And the new website's gonna pop a little bit more. I mean, it's really, the current website is, I mean, I have trouble reading a lot of the words. You know, I mean, so this'll be a little bit more, you know, more print like this, where you have like white, you know, instead of the brown printing on green, you know. So I think it'll be easier to use and friendlier.
Those of us that are on Facebook too, I mean, we may be able to put something on our Facebook pages
Well, actually, tell them
individually
what you
and
found
have
out
them
about
just
the
click,
algorithms.
Yes.
and it'll take them to
Correct.
Apple Store or Android to download it. Because my mother-in-law, she doesn't know how to
Well,
download it.
right, and you don't necessarily have to have the app to receive the notifications. You can sign up just for the email or
Oh, okay.
text message. So
All right.
it doesn't all function through the app,
Through the app.
through the platform.
Okay, that's good to know.
There's other ways around that. So I think we were talking about Facebook and other social media platforms. If you or anybody, you can share a post, though, if we were to push something out regarding a road closure, you have the ability to share that on your social media platform, which would encourage somebody to see that we're using Savvy Citizen and then to sign up for that. So it kind of has to branch out a little bit from that point. But I think the downside, Facebook has its benefits, social media, they have their benefits, but I think we're all aware that there's algorithms running in the back. So if New Freedom Borough were to create a Facebook page and there's 1,000 people that like the page, you can almost guarantee that it's probably 10% to 20% are actually going to receive that notification. In this is 100% delivery. Unless they type in the email address wrong or something, but they would know that during the sign-up process. So you're getting 100% of the information out to the individuals that have signed up for the notifications.
The other thing, Andrew, then with this Savvy Citizen arrangement is the information coming out is authoritative from the borough. It's not something that's posted on Facebook and whether, maybe it's true, maybe it's factual, maybe it's not. But if it comes through Savvy Citizen, it was put on by the borough, correct?
And there's no comments.
That's correct.
Right, that's always the big problem. You always get somebody that wants to be
Negative Nancy.
Negative Nancy, that's a nice way of putting it. I wouldn't have said that.
It's being recorded, so.
I know.
It looks like the
I think it's a great idea.
I think we should move forward on it unless, are there any questions that anyone?
She's been
I
trying.
just want to make sure it is only one-way communication.
It is, yes. Yeah, they can't, they could email you back, but it would only be like to the borough office, right? They can't email back. Like if they had a question, like, I don't know, if they had a question about something that was put on, they could email back and say, did you mean this, or is this, or whatever, but it would only go to the borough office and they could respond then.
And people would sign up if they wanted that notification.
Yes.
They wouldn't get it if they don't sign up for it.
Well, right, yeah, there's no way for us to, yeah, right. Yeah, we're not just automatically going to sign people up.
No.
And to the mayor's point, I think there's enough people that live next to an elderly person that could give them the information if their road's gonna be closed that week, or they don't.
Yeah, I think people take care of each other, like as the mayor is doing. The mayor is doing a good job of taking care of people, helping get vaccines and whatnot. And those people will continue to call him to get their information.
I don't get up at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning when they do.
So,
So
I
leave a
think,
message.
I think it's $99 a month, and we save a month.
If you pay for it.
Yeah.
If you
So
get an
it's-
annual subscription. And then I do have a question about the plugins down below. So the website with the calendar you already spoke to, zoning notifications, what would something like that entail?
Yeah, it would just be the website calendar plugin. We would not need the other.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't think so. I just wanted to know what
Yeah.
was there. Okay.
So that will be duplicated on the website, so that'll back and forth. You put it on one, it's on both.
Yes.
It's a great idea.
And it, go ahead.
I just want to make a motion that we go with it.
Yeah, it's 1089. We save $99 if we pay for the year. It's $99 a month. We save $99 if we pay for the year, and the year is 1089 then, so we save
So
one
the
month.
$300 doesn't, that, you don't do that, right? Or you do?
Yep, we have to.
That's the one time.
That's
You-
actually, yeah.
You do, however, it's in there, it's an actual expense, but what they say is that's the money that you should allocate to reach your residents, to encourage them to sign up for this platform. So it is an expense, it is a one-time expense, but they really view that more as a marketing tool for you to reach out to everybody to get them to sign up.
And I'll make a second for that we pay for the monthly subscription for a year, and that we do include the website calendar plugin.
Monthly or annual?
The monthly
The
subscription done annually,
Okay.
that way, yeah, so we have.
I think it's right. I mean, at the end of a year, we could always say, well, it didn't work.
Right.
But I think this looks like it's so, it looks like it's so promising. I think we need to move forward and do something neat. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Any other questions? Okay.
I do have one more question. How much work will go into setting this up?
Very minimal. Basically, once we register for the platform, they set everything up on the back end. It will be obviously work for the office to try to, start reaching out to people on whatever we feel is the best way. So we'll take a little bit of time on the back end to get information out to the residents. And the only other thing I'd mention is I've used similar platforms in the past that had a quarter of the functionality that this does for probably 4 times the price. So it wouldn't be in front of you if I didn't think it was well worth it.
Just one quick thing. I read someplace in here that we're going, this new document management thing that's going on here, so we're going to have more stuff digital, and that makes it easier to get stuff out than ahead of time.
Correct.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye.
What time frame do you think we would have with this? As far as getting it started, maybe a month, 2 months?
I would say within a month, yeah.
How close are we to getting the website done?
I need more content and some integration with, obviously, Savvy Citizen, as well as the document management. The document management software will actually create the workflows for residential permit applications, rental requests. Pretty much all the forms that we use will actually automatically go into the document management, so we need to build that in the background. So we're still a little bit out from that and testing in the background.
Couple months?
Yeah.
Mr. Solicitor?
Andy, I don't know who this one.
Was he done with his manager's report?
Unless anybody has
Oh,
any
I'm
questions.
sorry, there were
Yeah.
some other things on our sheet.
Yeah, if you'd like me to go through, I can. If anybody has any questions on anything, I can.
The surplus items, that was one of the old trucks.
Yeah, and all those surplus items are listed later on under new business.
actually have that.
Under business.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Did anyone else have any questions for Andrew?
I have one more. So are you doing all the testing, Andy, or is there somebody that you're contracting to do the testing?
Testing for the website,
So, yeah, and the document management stuff.
it's all in-house at this point.
So I mean, I'd volunteer to help if you want some help.
Okay.
I can handle it, so.
Yeah, it'd be nice to push that to somebody that, I'm looking at it for a few hours every day, so it'd be great to have somebody else's eyes
Well,
on it.
that's your forte, isn't it? Kind of?
Kind of. Besides being a rabbit.
Good rabbit.
Hey, Andy, how's the staff vacancies going? Are we getting anybody to replace some of the people that we lost?
Yeah, we actually, we had one interview today, and we will, in the process of establishing another interview, so we should be able to fill those vacancies on the public works side.
Where was that advertised? Paper?
Those positions were not advertised, at this point, they were just word of mouth.
I'll talk to you, because I know there's an application that somebody had put in some time ago, and that was under Tanya, and I want to make sure you find that.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else? Did you have?
I'll hold off then.
Okay,
You got it.
all right. You want me to go through the engineering report, or? Yeah. Did anyone have any questions on the engineering reports? You see anything noteworthy, Dennis?
No, we're gonna get, the next item is the clear application for payment number one. When did they start work on it? When did contractors start work on these improvements?
Back in October.
I'm just amazed that this is application for payment number one. Any job that we ever did, there's a monthly request by a contractor to get paid, and quantities have to get documented, get paid for, and I think it's just, I think it's terrific. It's the first application for payment after all the work they've done. Yep. So I don't have any other specific comment, but,
We do need a motion to approve the first application for payment.
I'll make a motion for approval of the application, first application for payment.
I'll second it.
Okay. And where's Doug? Lost him. Let me see. Yeah. And you've worked very well with them, Donnie. You've really had no major issues.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a first and a second to approve the payment. All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. No, that's fine. Okay. All right, we have the wastewater and the water operating reports. I don't see anything on there. Oh, I noticed too that the delinquency report is way down too, which is encouraging. We're like, what, I think it was 37? Went down from 59, so that's encouraging. Okay. Did you want to read the recreation minutes, or? you said you wanted to make a comment.
Yes, treasurer's report, January balance was $10,623.69. February balance was $10,623.85. Bob, Dick, wait a minute, this is March's.
That's the last approved. You actually need to report on what happened at the last meeting.
Not much. They are putting it together, flyers for the parade. They're also putting out some other information on the mutual, to the mutual benefit of the train and rec, and also I think for the concerts, both of the concerts. The tennis program is going very, very well. We've got a lot of kids signed up for, I think she had 20-some kids signed up. She has 2 different classes. Now they are Saturday from 9 to 10 and 11 to 12, I believe, but they're in the morning, which unfortunately, or fortunately, because we make money, your rec makes money off of that, closes the tennis courts on Saturday mornings. So, folks, I know a lot of folks watch the video, so you know that the tennis courts will be closed for public use on Saturday mornings. One other item that I need to bring up, and this is gonna be for council too. I got a call from Bob Warner, who is from Bub Insurance, and he is very concerned about insurance for the, what's the ball pit?
Gaga.
For the Gaga pit. He's he's looked into it, into the state, and he has found that there have been a lot of liability claims. And I think we had discussed before looking into this with our carrier to see if they would cover that because of kids. Basically, kids were getting impaled on the fences that surround it, not to mention broken noses. I know it's supposed to be
It's a flat top fence, and it's plastic, it's not something that's gonna break.
He wasn't sure how it was gonna be set up, but a lot of kids were getting carried away and a lot of injuries, and some of the insurance companies now are debating on whether they're gonna continue covering.
Lane, now you know why we have trouble with skating.
You just can't have fun anymore. Like when I was a kid, we used to flood the tennis court, it would freeze over, and we'd ice skate on it every year.
That's right.
You know, but it's, everything's, it's your fault.
So when are we gonna have an answer on that?
I think you need to look into that, whether there's, but he did look into this, to other insurance groups in the state, and they're just not recommending. He was a citizen of New Freedom, and he was concerned for our sake.
Well, okay.
If there are.
I mean, that needs to go to the borough office though. I mean,
Yeah.
we're coming to a meeting and you're bringing up an issue, which is a valid issue, but, I mean, if we would have brought it up when we found out about it at the rec meeting, we could have had an answer by now.
Well, I just got a phone call from him,
Okay.
so I wanted to bring that up and before anything.
I was gonna say, so if we need additional information on the construction materials or something like that, if that plays a factor, let me know and I can get a hold of Max and get more detailed information on the kit that he is pursuing, because he's several $1,000s into doing his funding now for this project.
Yeah, I mean, he reviewed all of the material with
Correct.
us, and it was
Correct.
all flat top.
Yep.
You know, it was Trex kind of material, plastic
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, so it wouldn't spill.
It's not like a piece of wood that's gonna snap off and create an impalement
That's
situation.
That's
I mean, I just can't imagine, because the church, St. John's has a Gaga pit. I mean, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that the Gaga pit would be an issue.
Andy, in our church, we have protection from a higher authority at our
Is that St. John Catholic or St. John Lutheran?
St. John Baptist Catholic Church.
Catholic,
Yeah.
okay.
And they have it up at Summit Grove too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
So I mean, there's a couple of
So, I
places.
mean, I just
in town.
can't imagine that you're not gonna be able to get insurance.
I'm
but-
just passing it on.
Yeah, I understand. No, it's a valid point. You know, we just need to, yeah.
Andy, I'd like to make Borough Council aware again that children are being run off of the park. Children sitting on benches talking are being told that they can't be there.
By whom?
Unfortunately, I don't have the person's name. I've asked the children if it happens again to try to get her name or take a picture of her or something, but it's just ridiculous that these children are being run off the park. because
So
they're-
A citizen?
So it's a her or a him?
It's a woman, it's an older woman, is all they said.
What is this individual telling them? They can't
That
have
they
fun?
don't belong there, that they can't be there, and to move along.
For
They
their
weren't even on the
activity.
equipment, they were sitting on the benches talking. That's all they were doing.
So
Tell
we
her
should
to
go
kick
solve
rocks.
it.
Well, maybe that goes back to what we had discussed with Rec and everybody else. Maybe we really need to look at a closed-circuit TV system for down there. I know Rec is in favor of it. I would like to see it.
Oh, Jesus.
Because what happens is kids go down there and do stuff and we can't catch them because we don't have any. Luckily, the couple times we've caught kids, I've taken out my camera and caught them destroying property and the
But
police
it's not the
were.
kids
This
that
ain't
need
the
to catch here,
kids.
it's the adults that are.
Well, yeah, but we could also catch the adults if we have closed circuit TV and see them, you know. Yeah, well, that woman doesn't have a hoodie, I'll guarantee you.
Well, no, the woman doesn't, but anyone who's gonna do vandalism is gonna.
Hey, we caught the kid down there that broke the picnic table, and he had a hoodie. He had a hoodie.
Well, I saw a guy sitting on the rim of the basketball thing the other day.
jeez.
And by the time I got around to him, he was gone, but I mean, if somebody falls off and breaks their neck or not, then it's not,
That's
it's
their
his responsibility, right?
Yeah, I would hope.
Yeah. And Donnie, thank you for putting up new nets down there. You didn't do it, who did it?
I understood that some older gentleman was down there trying to teach a younger kid how to play basketball, and they apparently put the net up, and I guess the other kids got the net down.
Well, it was there today.
It's up now.
I texted you this morning, I guess it was.
I didn't think it was there, because the guy said that someone cut it down.
Well, it was,
But they did see,
it was
somebody
there,
put it up, but,
it was there early afternoon.
okay.
I'll look on my way home, because I can still see it. Jeez. That's one of the problems, and the police have been very proactive. They're driving down Playground Alley. They're shining the floodlights down through there at night to make sure, and they're going down, getting kids off everything on bikes and unfortunately skateboards. They do tear up the courts. And I can't say anything about them not doing their job when it comes to that.
You wanna just,
Can I back up 1 minute?
Sure.
I was supposed to say something, I forgot.
go ahead.
Pat and Wayne live in,
Fuller Point.
Third Street.
Fuller
on
Point.
3rd Street. And I think you guys are close to, or next to?
5 houses away.
It's 5 houses
Okay,
up the
5
street.
houses are away. Their concern is, I could let them talk, but Doug Brent, which I think a lot of us know, and some other folks have complained. The house that burned down, the arson,
Yeah.
it's condemned. There are 2 issues. We've got a major rat problem, which is not only in that house, it's 5 houses away. It's the Brent's house, which is, I think, next
They're next
door.
door, a
And a
neighbor
lot of
behind
other
them in the
houses. That's one problem that I think we need to address. The other problem is, folks have seen the bank now owns the building. The lady that owned the house,
No,
No.
no.
well,
Why don't you give your update?
okay, because the insurance agent, same insurance agent, that's one of the reasons he called me. He said, I do not have anything to do with the insurance any longer. We carried it, we paid her. Now the bank took it and their insurance should be taking care of it. So you tell me what you know, or us. Can you, is that?
I guess my concern here is this could end up in code violation and litigation.
Yeah, do we have some code notices out?
No, because we can't get proper notification.
It's condemned though, correct? But you,
Maybe that's,
okay,
you could say it's
Yeah.
condemned or not.
Yeah, so obviously, the property is condemned at this point. The issue in the office, we have spoke with the insuring company that had the property insured for the occupant at the time. Unfortunately, the insurance company did pay her, the occupant. However, at this point, she is still the owner of the property. That is from the insurance company.
That's not what Bob Warner told us.
Okay, but
And
how
it's
does he
not-
know?
it's not what he
But
told
how
me.
does he know?
He's the
He's the
insurer.
insurance
He's
agent.
the
Okay,
insurance
well,
agent.
I spoke with the head of the company, Liberty Mutual, that is handling the case.
Liberty Mutual, I think, is the mortgage company's insurer.
Right.
Well,
Not-
Either way,
Well, we can check the recorder of deeds office and figure out who owns it. I think the next question is then, if we have code issues, we need to look at those, and I'm sure Wade's gonna be on that, and,
Okay.
you know, so, but first we need to figure out who legally owns it, and that can be resolved by looking at the recorder of deeds office. And instead of speculating or whatever, let's deal with that issue first and then deal with the code issues. I'm a little concerned that under Pennsylvania law, they didn't put the money in a fire escrow account.
well, okay.
Um,
A lot of research here, obviously, but the New Freedom Fire Escrow Ordinance was passed in, I believe, '93. In '94, there was an amendment to that said DCD had to be informed of the municipality holding a fire escrow. And there's a clause in that act that says that if DCD is not made aware of the fire escrow ordinance, it doesn't have to be enforced.
by the insurance company, okay.
So the insurance company went to DCD and saw that New Freedom was not listed. My response to the insurance company is I really don't, to me, it doesn't matter what DCD says, but unfortunately, the act in '94 says otherwise. And we kind of researched that back through, and it seems like, I don't know, I've never had that problem before in dealing with this in
Yeah.
other circumstances, that most times it's the insurance company that reaches out to the municipality, whether or not DCD has it listed.
Right, exactly.
So that's the downfall, and proceeds have already been paid out, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of a lost cause at that point.
So has the bank been paid as well? So the bank's been paid and the occupant's been paid?
Correct.
All right,
So
we won't get into the questions I have on that one.
Again,
That-
my understanding and all the information that we've collected in the office is that the occupant owner that was in the house when it caught fire is still the owner of the property. And we are having difficulty through everyone, and we've asked the insurance company to provide us her contact information so that we can provide
Right.
violation notice.
Right, and in my opinion, there's no way in the world, as conservative as banks are, that they were gonna take title to a piece of property that has all these code violations. They wouldn't do it.
Well, the problem is normally there is money in an insurance policy to tear down a building
Correct.
that's condemned.
Right.
So now where's that money? You have
And
to
that's
follow
what we
to get it?
pretty
We
much
gotta
need
find that
right
out.
You gotta
Yeah,
find that
we gotta
out,
find
yeah.
that out.
So who takes care of that? You, solicitor, or?
Yeah, and again, actually, just a few hours before the meeting, I received another email from Liberty Mutual that they have requested the occupant, the owner, permission to give out her contact information. That's probably not going to go anywhere. I think we realize that, but at least we're trying to get information to give her proper notice so that we can move the process forward.
Anybody try white pages?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have phone number, but
But at some point in time, and we could talk strategy behind the scenes. This is not a strategy meeting about how to deal with that.
These folks know we're here because they're very concerned. There are people going in and out of the building,
The owner.
and
Yeah.
there are rats
And
that are
the
living.
pool in the backyard is still full of rainwater and all that. The neighbor next door, his wife's been very ill with cancer for the last year. He throws chemicals in it all summer to keep it clean. There's water in the basement. It smells. It's a health hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anything you can do to help would be great, that's fine.
right, and I think
Yeah.
that's where we're at. Is
Yeah.
in order for us to go in, or for
Right.
the borough to go in and make those remedy the violation, we first need to provide the owner, whoever that may be, proper
Good luck.
notification of the violation and give them time to fix it. Once,
That won't happen.
right, so once that happens, then we can go in and
Okay.
go through our processes, fix the violation, possibly remove the pool, lien the property. There's just a little bit of process, but we are working to try to figure out
Just
how to
that we
give
heard
them.
the bank had it, that they didn't pay her off. The bank had it, and now some mortgage companies, you know how they sell mortgages off, somebody else bought it, nobody knows now. That's
That's-
just what we heard from the insurance people.
Right, the mortgage was
Right.
sold, and that was
Right.
only
Right.
not very long after it was
Right.
purchased, so. Yeah.
Anything you can do to help would just be great, that's fine. Yep, that's nice.
When it gets windy, you can hear the house creak.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
And,
I mean, it's not a safe situation. That's why it's been condemned.
And the neighbor that had damage when the fire was there, he's concerned that that thing coming down on his house, then you, plus all his issues he's got with his wife. So we can do anything, have it torn down, cleaned up, and then let it sit. But with the rat problem and all the other stuff, we're about at it. It's almost a year now.
Yeah.
Time to.
I mean, it's, from a legal standpoint, I mean, we have to check all the boxes. We can't, I mean, we just can't go in and tear somebody's house down. We don't own it. We'd have, I mean, we could, there are blighted property laws, but you still have to go through all the steps and check off all the boxes. I know it's frustrating. It would be frustrating for me too.
It smells like soot every time you walk by.
Oh, I'm sure,
And then the neighbors can't get fresh air because they're smelling soot.
I do have one quick question. So when I walked past this house the other day, it does appear that there's still an electric meter on the side of the house. Does that necessarily mean that the electric is still on, or the meter is just active, or
I'm
present?
sure the electric's off.
I would have assumed so, but I've just seen the meter.
I mean, normally the fire company would have that done,
Okay.
is when they, once the they
Okay.
report it.
See, that brings me back, the rats and so forth. How about Washington Avenue? We still haven't done, that hasn't been resolved, and I'm sure there are rats there. Across the street from me, there's a whole bunch of cars, they have on the side of their property.
We actually
Sometimes
have,
the
the
grass is
property
high.
maintenance thing is on here. It's
Yeah.
two more, we
Okay,
need 3 more spots.
but I'm saying, this
Almost
rat
there.
situation,
Almost there, yeah.
I have it right across the street from where I am. More and more cars are arriving there, on the side of the house, and they're bringing them around the back, and they're not cutting their grass is tall, and nothing's happening.
Well, we're
But you're gonna-
almost there.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
No, we're, just give us one minute.
Let Andrew and our solicitor, Steve, work on this. Let me know, and I will keep them informed as to where we are. Is that fair?
That's, yeah.
Okay.
Bruce?
I mean,
A question for either Steve or maybe our borough manager knows. I would assume that, and perhaps incorrectly, but I would assume that property taxes are still being mailed out on that property?
There should be, unless they've filed for an assessment reduction based on the fire, it would still have the exact same assessment on it that it had before the fire, and the taxes would be due and owing. Did they pay them? I don't know, but you're right.
I mean, assuming that that person was gonna let the tax collector know where to send those notices?
No,
No?
not really.
So then if the taxes don't get paid,
It gets turned over at the end of the year, and then they go through the sheriff's sale process.
okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the schema follow-up meeting.
Right,
Wanted to report?
right. Inga and the mayor and Andrew and I went to a meeting at Shrewsbury Township, and the presentation was very informative. I think that all of us have my minutes from that, so, just go ahead and read through that. But the advantage of joining that would be for a minimal or a nominal kind of fee. We would have someone who would manage our emergency operation plans. We would have an emergency management coordinator who has a lot of experiences, a lot of training, and who has a lot of resources already lined up. They already have an emergency operations center up in Shrewsbury Township, a dedicated room, and, if we needed to have an out branch here, we could do it as well. But I think all of us were sufficiently impressed with what they are doing and what they could do for us. I think that the total cost, based on 16 cents a person for the first year, 8 cents a person for the second and third year, and probably nothing after that, and a population of 4,600 for New Freedom, we'd have to pay a grand total of $1,472 to be there and be square by having paid up the 3 years that everybody else is in that we have not. So,
That includes 16 and the 8?
yeah, it's.
So that's just a total?
16, 8, and then they were gonna charge everybody 4 cents a head this year, but if we're coming in, or this coming year, if we're coming in, they have enough money, they won't be charging for a little bit anyway. But yeah, that's it.
Did everyone have an opportunity to read Ann's? Okay.
I mean, we had the presentation at the last meeting.
Correct,
and
yes.
The fact that there's 4 municipalities that are already on board with this thing, it seems like a no-brainer to get involved in it.
Yeah, I think, I would be ready to take a motion to join. A motion to join emergency management system. Second by Ann.
I also amend that we join, but we pay the back dues so that we're up to date.
Oh,
I don't think there were back dues.
no, what they were saying is.
They waived them.
No. What they were saying is that we could pay 16 cents a head now, and then 8 next year, and then 8 the following year. And what Mr. Sarkin is saying is, why don't we just pay the whole thing and be done with it?
1472.
Because
And we would be
before,
out
it was
of
a lot
date.
more than
Yeah.
that. They waived
Right.
some additional fees for us.
Okay.
I vote to stand.
I
Are
could-
there any questions? Does everybody understand what we're doing? It's the emergency management system for our area. The other municipalities are already a member. We had a presentation, and Todd actually is
He's like the secretary or?
secretary, and
Treasurer.
he's in Shrewsbury Township. I think it's a good thing for us to be in. I think it keeps us abreast of what's happening, and if there is a problem, or, a major snowstorm, or a major power outage, or, gives us those resources to draw on. So
This would just be for authorizing advertisement of the ordinance.
Right,
Oh,
yes.
right.
Yeah, but we'd have to, I was gonna get approval to pay it and then advertise the ordinance. Or do you want me to advertise the ordinance and then pay for it?
Well, yeah, we'd have to advertise the ordinance, adopt the ordinance, and then pay.
And then
once
pay
it's
for it,
passed.
okay. All right.
So the
Then
motion should be amended to,
to advertise the ordinance.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay. The DCED study,
there's not too much to say about that. We did have a call, all of the municipalities were represented, all of the fire EMS people were there on the call, and Ann Morrow Weaver gave us a brief history of what was going to be done, and we got to meet and talk with both the EMS and the fire people who would be reviewing all the information. And she just, again, requested that we cooperate, and as long as we do, she believes that within 3 to 6 months, we will have some sort of an answer, some sort of a set of recommendations from DCED about what direction we should go with this, with our people, and whether we become a consortium or not, or however it's going to
whatever
be, based on their
whatever the
recommendations.
end result is.
And Todd Ziegler is also the point of contact for that.
And we have tonight in front of us a DCED Articles of Agreement for the fire and EMS study, which all the municipalities have to approve to have the study go through.
I'll make a motion that we approve the DCED going forward by signing.
A motion to approve the DCED Articles of Agreement. I have a second by Burnell. Any other questions or discussion?
Is it binding with their results?
No,
No.
no.
Just
No,
recommendation.
all it is a recommendation, and then,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be a real tough one.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, no, yeah, no, it's a good question. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay, that brings us to the property maintenance ordinance review.
Okay, committee, composed of Bruce Merrill, Dave Reesdorf, Burnell, and me, had been a couple times. We looked at our property maintenance ordinance that we have adopted. And I think I sent an email that all the council members along with the committee's comments. I think the impetus was, what started it was cars. One part of the borough or another where there's a lot of cars parked in the street or parked in the yard or parked and not taken care of. And so how do we address that? And the ordinance doesn't tackle that problem. It's a little bit sticky in that sense. But everybody should have had the memo, and I guess one question that the committee had is how far does the borough want to go? Because we're covering rental properties, we're covering the interior, we're covering everything inside the building, we're covering stuff on the outside of the building. And we haven't got to the car issue, and one thing that Bruce had done was looked at this, and maybe Steve is familiar with, the city's got a couple of ordinances with regard to cars and permits for cars, probably associated with the fair that happens, because people have, there's a real parking problem out there then, and people have permits for cars so they can park there, fill in their parking space, but that was one thing that we thought maybe could get looked at. The other thought I had was, is there such a thing as somebody's got an excess of cars, they're storing them on a borough street? I don't know if you can consider that storage or not, but how many, I don't know. I own one car, I don't know how many cars somebody has to own, but, I mean, people know where the car issues are in the borough if you live close to it. So anyways, everybody had the memo, there's some miscellaneous comments, and one thing that I'd ask is how far does the borough want to go? You want to continue to go this route and go into excuse me, rental properties and the interiors of rental properties, or didn't you want to go this far? You want to scale it down? You want to continue and beef it up and continue to push it? But whatever we do, we're going to have to talk to the solicitor about about this, because I think, like I said, unless I'm wrong, the impetus seemed to be started with because of cars. Either parked on the street, parked on the lawn, parked by somebody's house, not parked, being worked on the street, et cetera. So, and Steve, if you get anything to add to that, I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, so you're right to the point that you're not gonna find an ordinance that says it's illegal to park a car. Because as we talked about in the past, parking a validly licensed and inspected vehicle on the street is not illegal in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's all of the other adverse impacts that go along with it. And that's what's really, if you look in the ordinance, that's, broken glass, is that the high grass and weeds that are going up around the car, that's creating rodent cartilage. So it's those things that you have to couple it in to use it as an enforcement tool. But I agree, if you want to look at other creative ways, permit parking, it's a lot of work, but, and at times you'll hear the complaints that I can't have my friends over, how do I deal with it? And then you're going to be issuing, tags for visitors and stuff like that, so.
You run into a problem too, because you violate the liquid fuels tax mandates, and if you start having parking by permit instead of public parking, then you could end up losing liquid fuel tax for that area of the road where they're parked, and it's by permit. Because I wanted to do that on South Front Street, and I was told I couldn't because we would lose the liquid fuels tax on it. Has to be public parking.
One thing we did find is, at least Glen Rock around here has an ordinance that might be closer to what we're looking for. I mean, it's scaled down quite a bit from what we've got. And, they've got more rental things, so there was more emphasis on the rental part of it. But they could handle the nuisance, the rubbish, the extra stuff. So, I mean, I know it'd be worth, we could reach out to them and talk to whoever was involved to see what kind of imaginations they went through to get to that point.
We were talking earlier today about this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we've adopted this ordinance.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have this in place right now. We don't have to enforce the entire ordinance.
That's correct.
We have to enforce it equally to everybody.
Correct.
But we don't have to enforce certain sections of it.
Right.
My suggestion would be, why don't we try this for 12 months? We know what we want to do, we already have it on the books. We're not gonna, as an example, I love Bruce's example with the rat guards on although now with the rats in town, maybe we need the rat guards. But, there are some things that we're not going to enforce. We're not gonna go around and make sure everybody has a rat guard on their basement window. But other things in the ordinance are valid. And there's really gonna be a two-step process anyway. We're gonna have a code enforcement person go, and we're gonna say, you're being cited for having 4 tons of garbage on your back porch and dripping into your yard. And then the next common sense thing is going to be, are they going to ask for an appeal? If they ask for an appeal, then it goes to you guys, whoever's on the appeal board, and then they would be able to look at it and say, yes, it is clearly a violation as cited or not. It doesn't matter that there's a lot of other words surrounding it.
I'll tell you, to the extent that most municipalities, when they adopt a property maintenance code, only do complaint-based enforcement.
Exactly, yeah.
And therefore, you use it as the tool when people show up and say, we have rats running around our neighborhood, and there's high grass and weeds, and it looks like heck, why can't we do something about it? It's a tool that you can use
Exactly,
for
so
that.
you would be able to file a complaint and say, these people have cars in their backyard, it's growing up, or they have unlicensed cars sitting on the street.
Exactly, yeah.
Those would be the complaints we would get. We're not gonna file a complaint on something that somebody doesn't have a problem with. Are we gonna get some nuisance complaints? Probably. And then those could be appealed, or even you would go look at it. If you got a complaint that Andy Bobby's got something in his backyard, you would go look at it and say, well, yeah, that's okay. That's not like a big pile of trash if he has a lawnmower that he, or whatever.
I guess in my 20 years of dealing with the property maintenance code and enforcement under the property maintenance code, I think I can remember maybe one appeal. I think so, don't get carried away about, oh, we're gonna get flooded with appeals. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Even though we have to have, what, an appeals
Yeah,
board?
we have to have
Right.
an appeals board, yeah.
And is there two boards, an appeals board and then
No,
another
just one.
one? It's just one.
Now, I'm saying that the first level is the code enforcement officer,
Right.
Wade or Andrew would go out and look at it and say, yes, this is a violation, or no, it's not really a violation. And then, if they cite them, because they think it is a violation, then the person, the occupant would have an opportunity to appeal it.
Well, he has the opportunity to appeal the enforcement letter. Once the citation is issued, he's appealing it to the district magistrate.
Gotcha.
So that's in a legal proceeding, and the borough's not involved at all. That's typically where the appeals go to, not the local appeals board from the borough.
So that would be, after speaking with Andrew about it, that would be my suggestion, is that we try it for 12 months and see what happens. We might not get any appeals whatsoever. If we get one, then we'll deal with it when it comes up. Is that fair enough to try, Bruce? It's gonna be you, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna decide to do what you wanna do. I personally think that ordinance was way overkill. I'm not sure how many of you read it before you passed it. In my experience, only Nancy Pelosi gets to say you gotta pass it to find it out what's in it. Because it seems like that's what we did. That said, I would ask Steve, part of the issues that I've understood from my discussion with Wade is, there is, whether it be something that we cited this or whatever, Wade goes out, they get a notice. Then they have a certain amount of time to remedy that, correct?
Correct.
2 weeks.
And if they get it remedied, then Wade comes out and says, it's done. A week later, they're back doing the same thing, and the whole process starts again. Is that correct, Steve?
Correct, yeah, because they
Now,
remedy.
what I found in the research, and maybe you're familiar with this, and I think Denny mentioned it in that notice that he sent out to the rest of the council. Up in York, they have a nuisance ordinance where, in the cases where you go and you fix it, but then you allow it to reoccur, every time you get called out, there's a point system. And if you occur so many points within a given amount of time, you're in violation of the ordinance, as I understood it. Conviction is not required in order for those points to accumulate. So in the case where we have somebody who says, yeah, I got 17 cars parked here, and Wade says, oh, you got 30 days to move them. On day 29, he goes and he moves them, puts them in a Walmart parking lot. Wade comes out and inspects it, and yeah, it's good. 2 days later, they're all back from the Walmart parking lot in the front yard. Well, we're back to another 30 or 45 days. Only thing I would suggest is that, you want to keep the ordinance that you've got. My understanding, we've had problems enforcing it because of that sequencing of events, that you look at what York has done in terms of accumulation of points, whether or not you get any conviction on the actual violation of it.
I won't opine in a public meeting as to my thoughts about that point system and its enforceability. So I'll maybe talk to you offline about that. But if you think about the complaints you're gonna get, high grass and weeds, yeah, okay, mow it and get it done. Okay, and then if you have to go out and do it again. But if it's rat harborage, at times, you're gonna clean up whatever is the source of the rat harborage, and you're probably not gonna have that broken glass, from windows that are broken out or whatever. I like let's deal with this for a year, and I think you'll start to get a good feel as to how this would work out and how we can use this as a tool. I think we're just really overthinking a lot of what could go wrong, and is it going to go wrong? I'm a little bit more optimistic.
But in Baltimore County, for instance, if you have rats, and it shows, that they make tunnelings all over the yard and so forth, you call the health department up, and they have these boxes, and you put these tablets in there, and they give you the boxes, you place the boxes, and then, they come and pick them up. Now, why can't we have something like that? Because our rat problem seems to be growing. I don't think it's just...
We don't have a health department, so I don't know what licensing they have.
That's what I'm saying, that there is something like that the person, for instance, my friend Bonnie Houston, she would be in her backyard, and I saw it, I went there, and I saw the tunneling, these rats tunnel. Now, some people say, oh my goodness, they're brown rats, they're not gonna go in the house, they're outside rats.
They're
But
mostly
nevertheless, they're
moles.
still rats.
Rats don't tunnel.
You know, like,
Rats
pathways.
don't, those are moles.
That's best.
well, my husband and I,
We have the
in
best.
Baltimore County, my aunt that I took in, we had 20 of these boxes in her yard, and they were rats. And the health department came out and they named what type of a rat it is that you have in your yard. You know, they assured her they wouldn't go in the house, but I mean, she didn't even want to go outside and put her trash out with these things, activities happening. So I mean, I just think we don't want to develop a really big rat problem. It's not just cutting, you know, it's not just, you know, keeping your grass up. There are other things once they are on your property.
I mean,
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just concerned.
the rats that are out where you are right now, those are like wood rats.
What do
They're
they
not-
look
They're
like?
not city
What are yours
rats.
look
Well,
like?
I don't.
They're pretty
Well,
good
they're
size, aren't they?
gray, and they're
Aren't they
brown.
good size?
That big.
They're grayish
They're not the
brown.
moles, because we
Oh,
have them.
no,
They're
these
cute
are
little
like
mice. These
brown
are
brownish
rats.
rats.
And the
But-
neighbor has them videotaped in her attic, and now I just read
Really?
tonight another
Oh, they're
neighbor has them in
oh
her
my
attic.
goodness,
We
that's-
had exterminators out.
that's
because
terrible.
We have, yeah.
See, then I was
Exterminators
thinking, what sort of ruling do we
have the
have
boxes
with the
out.
trash cans, you know? The trash cans that sit outside?
They have to be covered.
They should be covered, shouldn't they?
That's it.
I look at
That's
my
it.
neighborhood, I see it sitting there, you know, and some animal gets in there in the trash. I think that could be a contributing factor too. So what sort of ruling do we have? I don't know.
Trash cans have to be
They have to be
covered.
covered, yeah.
See, I know that. But I mean, I don't see it happening in my neighborhood, especially across the street from me, they have 4 or 5 trash cans, no covers. Stuff is blowing all over. In the mornings, I go up and I pick up, you know, empty cans and what have you. See, is there anything actually on the book? And I know they have rats in their
this,
backyard.
it's called rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, that's a violation, to have rubbish on your property. Believe me, I spent hours going through that. I don't know, I know you guys did, but I spent hours going through
Yeah.
this, highlighting
Yeah.
what I thought was appropriate for New Freedom and where I saw violations. And it's not just cars. We've got a lot of other violations.
Oh, yeah.
Vermin, rats, that's all in here. It's-
Those sort of things, and
This
it's
should
kind of
take
like,
care of it, or help us to take care of it
Yeah.
without,
So can we, I think what we're saying is we're gonna move forward and we're gonna try it for 12 months. And I think we're gonna, I'm hoping we'll see some good results from that. You're right, I mean, if somebody moves things around or cuts the grass and then lets it grow again, but I mean, hopefully, once they get cited, it'll show them that they really need to keep up on it. I mean, nobody wants to have people walking around there, you know, so.
And, and
The only thing I'd ask Andy is if Wade, I guess Wade would be the individual that enforces this, if he can keep just a separate log of complaints associated with the nuisance orders, just so we can see, you know, we see what kind of complaints we get, what's been done.
Yeah.
Is this a good tool to address some of these complaints, or do you need to do
No,
something else?
absolutely, yeah, we'll have records of all that.
Andy, could I say one more thing before we
Sure.
change? The one thing that we did notice was some of the definitions of some of the things in a few places, and we probably at some point ought to take a look at that, because what you think and what I think may be too different, and I was gonna say, it's kind of confusing if we don't all.
I saw that, yeah, some of the,
Yes.
yeah.
yeah,
That's the interpretation of the
very good, Bernie.
Yeah, and that is true.
trash and rubbish.
I think,
Yes.
yeah, that's,
That's good.
yeah, what Andrew just said was that is the interpretation of the code enforcement officer. So they will read it, they will cite based on what their interpretation is of the ordinance. And I think that that's what we need to do. We just need to move out and take care of what needs to be done, and, you know, so I'm more concerned about the rats. I definitely got
Oh,
rats
yeah.
on my mind. Yeah.
But this ordinance will be in our new information thing that we've got
Good.
for everybody, right? So if somebody wants to know what they can complain about, they'll be able to read it.
Oh, yeah, it'll be on the ordinances on the website. and-
Well, right now, so the ordinance adopted the property maintenance code, which is a separate book.
Right, that's true.
You know, so unless you scan, unless you scan.
No, I
you know,
don't think we wanna do
No.
that,
But it's open for anybody
Yeah.
to see
Right.
here at the office.
but, right,
Right.
exactly. You know,
Speaking of which, are we gonna open the office?
we talked about opening the office, some other areas have. I think we're going to wait one more month and then open the office. That was our final decision, I think, right?
Discussion was to discuss it at
Yeah.
the May 10th.
Yeah. So I think
Shrewsbury did open, am I correct?
as long as we don't, I mean, I keep watching the numbers. I mean, we actually outpaced Lancaster County a couple of times this last month. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think there's a big rush. Everything, all the services are open, everybody's getting what they need, building permits are happening, everything, so I think, just playing it cautious isn't a terrible thing to do, and then we'll plan on opening after our May meeting.
I got a call today wondering.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know what unfinished business is.
Just if there's anything
Anything else?
taken care of for the last meeting.
Okay. I think we're good with that. I don't think I have anything. Okay. New business, we have some surplus items that were sold off. Do you want me to read this? Okay, basically, we sold off some tractors and mowers and for a total of $49,883. And they were equipment that, older equipment that we no longer use. And that's all been purchased, and we need to approve the sell, the final distribution of the equipment. There's actually about 8 pieces of equipment we have in the back.
I'll make a motion that we approve the sale of the surplus equipment at the
Cornell, second. Is there any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay. Land development plan.
So in essence, this is just the commercial piece of it that's coming in now, right?
Yes, yeah, and this actually was shown on the, original land development plan back when it was Cornerstone, I think? No.
Oh, was it? Oh, well, wait a minute, I just looked at it, there were parts of it that weren't on.
All right.
Yeah, but it's the last section.
Anybody need any copies? Thank you. If it pleases the council, my name is Mickey Thompson. I am the Director of Land Development and in-house counsel for Burkentine Builders. With me is Dan Creep from Warehouse Engineering. We're here to discuss the plan of Phase 3. We're asking for approval of that plan that's before you. Something that we'd like to introduce to you related to this project in just in the broad brushes. The project originally was for 2 commercial buildings, roughly 5,000 plus square feet each, and they were single-story buildings, and that was that. Part of this process and part of the plan involved approximately 10 or so townhouses that were to the north of the property, and because of some ongoing issues
with a neighboring property, and the fact that there were some stormwater management issues that we had to take care of. We decided to kind of go back to the drawing board a bit and remove those townhouses and put them on top of the proposed commercial pads or commercial buildings there. So instead of having a first-story commercial building, we would have a mixed-use first-story and second and third-story residential apartment of 5 units each, totaling 20 units in both of the commercial buildings as proposed. We do have a picture of the plan that we are pretty proud of. And if you just want to put on the easel, we can do that and maybe turn it so maybe some of the members of the public can see it. This is going to be one of our flagship buildings, and we're very excited about it. It's a modern American craftsman type of building, and we are now discussing a lease for a restaurant slash brewery on the first floor. That has not been finalized yet, but that was sort of the nexus of the design of the building. And our current building for Burkentine that's located in Hanover Township is reminiscent of this style, more modern style with a little bit of textures and windows and an inviting open space that we think would be a cornerstone for the development of this area. Be a nice blend for the commercial activity along the street. It would be a benefit for our residents that are living in the townhouses that are now built in the apartment building that is under construction to the rear of the property, and also the surrounding community. So we have in excess of parking that's located on the site. We don't have any need for on-street parking either within the street of the community or along Franklin Street or any other street in the area. We can accommodate all the parking for visitors to the site. And we hope that if this building is successful, that we would build its twin across the little boulevard promenade and also bring in a commercial tenant with also residents living above that. So if you have any technical questions, I have Dan here. He's from Warehouse, and he's helped and been instrumental in the design of that. We're not asking for really any relief. There's no waivers, there's no modifications. There's really nothing except we had a change of the context of the plan in order to try to close this project out as quickly as possible and not be tied up with extraneous issues. We thought this was the most efficient model to do that. We're not adding any additional townhouses or anything else on the remainder of the site. This will be, the final phase 1, 2, and 3 will be done at that point, and then we can hopefully bring a more vibrancy to this area, more tenants to go through all the other commercial retail units in the area, and really establish this as a corridor for commercial trade and whatnot. So with that, I will open the floor to any questions. If you have any questions of Dan, please feel free. We're here, and I just thank the council, or the borough here, and also the staff has been really helpful and really demonstrated a tremendous amount of leadership. And we wouldn't be just designing and building this in any place in Pennsylvania. This is our test case, and we are really proud of it, and we're really proud of our relationship with every one of you. So I thank you for that.
One quick thing, I guess it's been a month, I've heard that this is gonna happen, and you're gonna have the townhouse on the top, and I'm familiar with your property in Hanover.
Okay.
Very well done, so I'm glad you brought the picture. So what I envisioned before wasn't even close to this, so this is great.
Okay, wonderful. We appreciate that. We put our heads together and came up with this design, and obviously it's just not a rectangle on a rectangle. This is something that involves a lot of planning. Warehouse with our architectural staff has been wonderful to deal with. I think they're excited about it as much as we are, so fingers crossed.
New York County Planning just considers this a minor plan change, right? Because
Yes, yeah. We're not adding really anything contextually to the plan.
Meets all the zoning and everything.
Meets everything, yep.
everything is already there for sewer, water. We're not gonna pave the street and have to dig it up again, or?
Well, my assistant Kyle back there, I sent him a note hearing the earlier conversation. I was like, let's make sure that we can get our guys with your utility staff and get that taken care of, because that's the last thing that we want to do. We don't want to mess anything up. We want to make this as beautiful as possible.
Was it, I think you're right, but wasn't there one issue with, it was a water line, Donnie, that?
Well, they originally had water lines that came in the front, they wanna put them off of Franklin Street, off the side.
Right. So that has to get done, unless it's already been done before, obviously, when the street's paved.
Yeah, I had you have Livingston doing the utility work, so.
That's correct.
They called me today and
Oh,
said
wonderful.
about hooking on to Franklin Street as far as the water.
As Mr. Evans
That'll
told,
all take place before.
Oh, yeah, that all
Yeah.
happened before.
the lawyer's always the last to know, right?
God, that's the last thing we need is to have to dig up after.
No. We've experienced that in another area, and where we don't want to have that happen again, no.
And where's parking for the apartments gonna go?
We have a parking plan, and I'll let Dan point that out.
Because I'm not seeing that on here. I could be missing it.
So we'll start with this plan, with the proposal of the addition of the 20 residential units. Looking at the entire developments, phase 1, 2, and 3, 20 additional parking spaces needed to be added within the development. I've highlighted those on this plan for you, so it's easy to identify them, but there's 4 within the boulevard. We're picking up another 7 over here where there used to be some townhomes proposed. We picked up 7 additional parking spaces to the north here. These were previously proposed as parallel spaces, so we picked up 7 by 1 slant parking. And we have 2 additional here in the front as you come in the boulevard as well. So that's the 20 additional spaces that was needed to accommodate the units.
So that's 1 per unit?
So the ordinance requires 1.9 spaces per unit.
So you said 20 and then
20.
20 apartments, or
Correct.
20 apartments.
So if you look at the entire development in its entirety, there was additional parking above and beyond this development in excess of 20 spaces previously. So if you count the 20 spaces from the previous land development plan, plus the 20 proposed, that's 40 additional spaces that's needed. So if you take 1.9 times the 20 units, comes out to be 38 spaces.
But they aren't, those other parking spaces are not adjacent to these apartments, correct? There's, people are gonna have to walk from somewhere else to get to their apartment?
Well, there's 28 spaces, plus there's 32 spaces right here, plus you got 15, 22, just next to this commercial and apartment complex right there. So there's a significant amount of parking just in this general area.
I'm just thinking if you're gonna have commercial down below on the first
Sure.
floor, are your tenants gonna take up that space
Right.
for commercial, which would create a problem? That's beautiful. You see what I'm getting at?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah. So I guess in response to that, again, a lot of the majority of the parking is right associated in close proximity to those facilities, the commercial buildings 1 and 2. The only change and modification that we're proposing again is the highlighted areas.
It's our desire to have dedicated parking for the residential units along this area to the top here, to leave the commercial area open for residents there. And so we think there's going to be plenty of parking for that, and we also have something else where we're trying to secure more off-street parking areas, so I think we'll be fine when it comes to parking.
Where would you secure additional off-street parking?
The property to the north was purchased by an affiliate,
By who?
by an affiliate of Burkentine.
Okay.
So we haven't started that process yet, but that could be an area where there could be additional parking if necessary.
Is that a staging area currently for some of your stuff?
It is. It's for some of the water and sewer services. They've been in that area.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, what you're looking at, if you go by the area now, is a big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, as we start developing that, then we'll be developing, you know, that whole track, and I think we'll be in a secure position for that.
Okay.
They're actually providing some additional parking
Yeah.
for the other businesses, Bonkies,
Yeah.
Seven.
With this additional lot that he's talking about, correct? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you were gonna do one of these first?
Yeah, we are gonna build the, I guess that's the northern one.
Yes.
All right, the northern building first, and get that secure, and as we move forward, if we secure, you know, residents, a tenant for that, then we'll be building you know, we're gonna build one at a time. It's not really phased out, but we're gonna build one building and start working on the building to the south. And it's inherently gonna be the same architectural style.
Okay. What, I mean, obviously, I hope everything's successful, but what if the first one doesn't go the way you plan? What's a backup for your second building?
There really is no backup. We could build the building and know that we have 10 units of rentable space in there. So
Yeah.
if the first floor remains vacant, it doesn't affect the build out of the area.
Okay.
So I mean, I think the apartments, and again, not having an interior plan here, but we're going through that process right now, and I guess the best way to put it is the unit's pretty cool. Right? You got patios, and it's overlooking the area, and it's sort of like a plaza feel. So I don't think we're gonna have any problem renting them, to be quite frank.
No, I've heard that they're being rented is faster than you can build them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they're-
we're driving these guys crazy, you know, trying to manage these things.
No, I think they look incredible, the way that everything has come together, just going for a run or walk on the bike trail. I think everything looks a lot better. I think it makes that whole area look more appealing.
Sure.
I'm just, like I said, I'm just curious.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I don't wanna go too far afield, but, you know, we see with having two, you know, really anchor tenants, you know, more entertainment based with restaurants and brewery and all that stuff. We're really gonna bring an element, this is gonna be your second Main Street, essentially, you know, and I think this whole corridor is gonna really pop and be a desirable place for other businesses to come into and whatnot. So I think that's what we're all looking for in terms of development, in terms of trying to figure out how to best address these things. You know, we have a viable company like Burkentine that's been down here and having a wonderful relationship with the borough. I mean, and I always caution everybody in my office, like, why don't we go where people like us? You know, and people want the business, they want the desirability, and that makes us want to perform even greater, so.
Yeah, well, you had me a brewery.
Nothing's been signed yet, I just want to.
Are you on the tenant yet for the brewery?
We've been working on, and again, that was part of the design of the first floor, was to try to encourage a tenant to come in and take that space. So we have been working, there's nothing signed yet. We want to get it approved so that we have something that we actually can say, hey guys, we have the space approved for you. So this is part of that process.
Any other hints on folks that are looking to move into the commercial?
Any other hints?
Hints? I know you can't, give names or what, but at this point, do you think you have all the commercial space pretty much?
We don't, we're still talking to other people about this, the other building to the south. We don't have anybody that we've talked to in earnest yet. I think it's part of us getting this approved. I mean, tomorrow we're gonna, hopefully if this is approved, this is gonna be a blast for Burkentine to go out to all of our commercial partners and say, hey, we will have space available for you. And this is a great area to be in, and I think the building sells that, quite frankly. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but, it's one of those field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. I don't really buy that. If you build something like this, they will come.
Yeah, and that's something that this community really needs.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think Burkentine has been absolutely wonderful to work with. Anytime any organization needs anything, you guys have been there. You've supported the Lions with the fireworks. You've supported anything that anybody's come and asked you for, you know, whether it be a check, whether it be, you know, helping with a maintenance problem. I commend you for your community awareness and willingness to be here and be a part of the community.
That's really, I mean, honestly, it's wonderful to hear. You know, I've been in land development for 22 years now, and I'm sure Dan has been going around to different areas as well. And just to have that, and we view everything, every time we go into a new municipality, we're trying to form a partnership. Everything works better when you trust us and we trust you. And not to say that we're trying to shortcut any process. You know, government is a deliberative process and it takes time. That's what makes it wonderful, in my opinion. Sometimes too deliberative, but you know, we get to the finish line eventually because you know we trust that you're saying and we're following what your advice is and what your ordinance say. And quite frankly, you know, we want to be there at the end of the phone call when there is a problem or when the community has needs because, you know, obviously when times are tough, you look for the community leaders. Although our company has been in business 30 years, we have, you know, the second generation that's leading this charge to expand and to grow. And you know, having that mentality where they want to give back and they want to be part of every community they're in, it's really refreshing to see. I've been with the company for 14 months now, and it's a fun place to work every day. We have a great building that we work in every day, and it's very collaborative. And then me coming to different communities and being able to proudly say that I work for Burkentine, that's a wonderful thing. And as representing certain clients, it wasn't always the thing that I walked in feeling the same way about my company I would feel about today. So.
Just don't forget the pavilion over at Martin Goodfellow Park. We're looking forward to that.
All right.
Okay, without any other questions, I would entertain a motion to accept the plans.
I'll make a motion to that we accept the plans.
Second.
First and a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye.
We thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an ordinance to approve a loan in the amount of $8,860,000. What this does for us is it's a 10-year fixed rate at 1.79 and it's capped at 2.99 after. So it can never go any higher than 3% of 2.99. It adds $2 million to the general fund to address immediate infrastructure, road and stormwater needs. It also does a neat thing. It takes our previous debt that we already owe, and the refinance savings is $142,000. It also adds $3 million to the sewer fund to complete improvements on our 5-year project list that we've published in the past. It also refinances that debt and saves us $42,000. And it adds $1.7 million to the water fund, in part to pay for the new water tower. And that debt service refinancing for water saves us almost $16,000. So it's a very good time to borrow money for the borough. It's a big savings, again, at 1.79%. You almost can't go wrong. So we got a proposal from, I think, 13 different banks, and we took the best one. The only other thing that I probably want to note is this is a draw type loan. It's a construction type loan. So if we don't need the money, we just don't take it. And we have 3 years to spend it. So what that does for us is it puts us in a very good position to have low interest rate money and lock it in now for our future needs. want to add anything? Dennis?
No, I mean, obviously, there's things that need to be done in well, water system. Katie mentioned a new water tank. We have one on one side of town. Right now, we have a couple ground level storage tanks that are really, and Donnie can tell you, they're a nuisance to maintain, and the water has to be pumped back and forth, tank empty, water pumped in, water pumped into the system. And with regard to the treatment plant, everybody here probably by now has heard of Chesapeake Bay Agreement, and that involves New Freedom. And there has to be an upgrade to our treatment plant to increase the degree of treatment of the wastewater, the treated wastewater we discharge to the receiving stream. And we don't have a choice about that. That has to get paid for. The federal government has said, this is what you gotta do. And so we're not adding capacity to the treatment plant in terms of additional gallons for additional customers. We're increasing the degree of treatment so that aquatic life, et cetera, will benefit, and frankly, we're gonna meet the requirements that are established by the state and federal government.
Does anyone have any questions on what we're doing, why we're doing it? I would entertain a motion.
So the motion would have to be approval of an ordinance?
Yes,
No,
we
yes,
we would advertise an ordinance.
Yeah, no, actually, since Concord had already come here and done a presentation, and if you remember last month, we had this
Right.
discussion that said,
Okay.
if he's gonna go out and get all these proposals, the interest rates are only good for so long.
Mhm.
And therefore, you need to be ready to approve that when he comes back
Okay.
at the April meeting. So with that directive, I put the ordinance together. When we
Okay.
got the final information
Okay.
from the bank, the winning bank, we included that in the ordinance. And under the Local Government Unit Debt Act, we advertised that. It's only a 3-day ad in that case.
Okay.
So we're able to get the ad in with the correct information, and therefore it is in front of you tonight for formal approval.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yep.
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance?
Ordinance, yes. Jerry?
Yeah.
Is it ordinance number 2021?
That's 2021-2, I think.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we'll make sure that it's correct, but it is
Approval of ordinance.
it is an ordinance to authorize this.
Yeah, for the debt.
Second.
All right, so I have a first and a second.
Can I ask one thing, can we let, in case anybody's interested, who the winning bank is, the name of the bank?
Yeah,
It's People's Security Bank and Trust. They're out of Lebanon, PA.
it is not our people's in town.
Right.
They did bid, but they were like third down on the list, I think.
And under the Local Government Unit Debt Act, this does require a roll call vote. I don't know if the Secretary's ready, or if you can do the vote and have it recorded as a roll call vote, if everyone,
Well, he's recording.
okay, so do that as a roll call.
Okay, I'll start at this end. Dennis? Mr.
My vote is aye.
Aye. Aye.
My vote is, oh, go ahead, yes, I
Aye.
wait.
Aye.
Aye.
My vote is aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that's okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approving the resolution authorizing the submission of a DCNR grant for a recreational peer-to-peer study. What that means is, in order to, we would like to get a grant for our rec director, which we've talked about a couple of times. It's a grant that pays 100% of their salary the first year, and then 75, 50, 25, and then hopefully they would be self-sufficient after that, and the borough really wouldn't be putting out any money. We have teamed with Shrewsbury Township, and we had a team with another municipality to qualify for the grant. The grant was $1,000, I believe?
It's $10,000 with a $1,000 contribution recreation, so
Right,
it's
so,
split.
yeah, it's a $10,000, but we only had to pay $1,000, we only had to pay half of that. So what this resolution does is it allows us to proceed with the study, which is gonna take three to 6 months. And then they will come back and say, yes, you need a rec director, hopefully, and you can split that time with Shrewsbury Township, and then we'll be able to have a rec director to help with fundraising and programs, and hopefully it will make New Freedom Recreation a lot stronger in the future.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this, the peer-to-peer technical assistance.
Okay, I refer, as motion, second. Is there any other discussion?
So it means that we're kind of pushing our recreation in with the Shrewsbury Township recreation, then, or?
Well, it's not, yes
It
and
makes
no.
sense to
I
me.
mean, it's funny you mention that, because I spoke with Todd earlier today about some other issues with Shrewsbury Township. I don't know if you know or not, but I schedule all the fields for Shrewsbury Township, Shrewsbury Borough. I've done it for 20-some years. But he asked me to be on his recreation committee. They're gonna meet a couple of times just to look at like the 10-year requirements for recreation. So yes, in a sense we are, but we are really all touching communities, so working together is a really, really good thing. But we could do it either way. We could be cooperative and like say our citizens might go to their place for some activities, and they might come to here, their citizens might come here for some things. Or we could have it totally separated and we get them 20 hours a week and they get them 20 hours a week and there is no cooperation. So you could really do it either way. I would hope we would do it where we were cooperating, but yeah.
Now, is that still part of the grant that we were looking at, where the first year was?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
This has to be done first.
first, and then we get.
Nothing is ever
Just wanted to
easy,
make
yeah.
sure that.
Yeah. So,
In the grant, maybe you already said, the grant's predicated on us working with another municipality.
Right.
We couldn't get the grant on our own.
no, we actually tried to just partner with the senior center, but they said no, it had to be another municipality. Not that we couldn't give some time to the senior center as well,
Yeah.
you know, depending on how things work out, but yeah. So it's a really good thing for New Freedom. It's basically a free person for a couple of years, and hopefully they would get established with programs and things.
And then they'd be self-supporting after.
That would be the hope,
that.
yeah. So I have a first and a second. Any other discussion?
One here, it's got the other municipalities of Railroad and Shrewsbury, Glenrock. Is that just part of the form?
No, that's a different study. That's the fire thing, isn't it?
Peer-to-peer.
Isn't that EMS?
No, it's pretty much the same concept, just a different outcome. That's the fire.
Yeah. No, this is just for us in Shrewsbury Township.
Peer-
Yeah. That's the same,
I think it's the same as this. This is,
right, peer-to-peer is the same thing for the DCD fire EMS
Okay.
as the recreation.
oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Right.
I apologize.
So that's all right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay. Okay, the next resolution is approving operational support activities for participating members of the fire company. And this is, it used to be, like for instance, I said to Rodney one day, I would help at the fish fry. And he said, well, no, you can't, because you're not covered our insurance. I think what this does is, this provides insurance for people who are supporting things like the fish fry, but are not really active fire members of the fire department. And it requires a resolution. So those things are gonna be like the fish fry, trustees, organizing fundraisers, providing IT support, stuff like that. So it's really a very simple thing, but it requires a resolution now because of the way workman's comp is set up.
Yeah, workman's comp only automatically pays insurance for emergency events, and then additional non-emergency events need to be specifically approved by the governing body.
Social members are no longer covered
Right.
under any circumstance.
Were they before?
Yeah, if you burned your finger on a fish fry in the grease or something,
Oh, okay.
you were covered. You know, but now you're not unless council says you are.
That's
So,
what it is.
so that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to cover those people that are supporting the fire department.
Right, participating members, not social members.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, they have to be participating, but not in fire calls, per se.
What designates you as a participating versus?
If you're working as, like, for instance, I don't think,
They need help with a fish fry.
Lisa
Does that
Duke,
mean I can't-
Lisa Dukes isn't necessarily she doesn't go out on fire calls, but she is a participating member. She's the secretary, treasurer, she does work, and she helps with fish fry, she does whatever. She would be covered.
You and I would be covered though, if we
Only if we did
decided
fish fries.
just fish fries?
Well, or anything that was supporting. Like, for instance, if we went up to the station and we washed the truck and we fell off a ladder, we would be covered because we would be helping the fire company, even though we don't go out on fire calls. Is that right, basically?
Are you a participating member?
Right, are you a member of the
See,
fire department?
yeah, when you said fish fry, that's a social event, that's not,
Oh, that's not covered?
right, if you're, and that's up to the fire.
That would be
company.
a fundraising,
That's
organized.
a social event, that, according to the act, is no longer covered as a social
Oh.
member. You need to be a participating member, and those duties are outlined in the resolution of what an operational support activity is.
So organizing fundraisers is not.
That could present a problem because we depend on a lot of folks.
Unfortunately, it's not up to the borough anymore. This Act 108 of 2020, passed by Pennsylvania, defines, and that's why you have this brief summary on what an active member is, what a participating member is, and what a social member is. They went through as a state and defined those. And it's up to the municipalities to pass a resolution each year now to cover participating members. Social members are the responsibility of the fire department to cover.
Which
So
they are not
particip-
gonna cover.
Apparently not. I guess I misunderstood, because it would seem to me that a fundraiser, if you're saying that a fundraiser is a participating member, then if I burn myself on the grease, I should be covered, right? They'll at least give me a free ride in the ambulance.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I am too.
Well,
Because here's what I'm afraid of, and this has happened in the past. It's getting real tough to have volunteers at any fire department today. We've had fish fries already, and there's a fire call. And there's a fire call that goes out. Some of us jump in there and start serving macaroni salad and other stuff, and, you know, standing there and dishing out fish. I guess my thought is, does that mean we're not gonna be able to do that? And if there's a fundraiser going on, it would have to shut down. Am I correct?
I mean, it just says in Act 108 that social members are not covered under any circumstances. So.
I guess I need the definition between an active member and a social member. and I don't have.
Participating members are those who provide necessary operational support and do not respond to emergency calls.
Well,
These activities are only covered if the operational support activity is conducted on a regular basis for the benefit of a volunteer fire department or volunteer fire company.
So if you're participating and you clean that truck every single week or every month, whatever it is, then I think then you'd be participating. But if you're a social member and you just come by to help out once in a while for a fish fry or help on the barbecue or something, then I don't think it's covered. They want to have some sort of relationship with you.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what I told Rodney when he said I couldn't do the fish fry. I said, I have my own insurance. If I burn my thumb, I'm gonna go to the doctor and say, look, I burned my thumb, you know?
But it's not going to be under workers' comp. That's
Right, it just won't be under
It's
workers'
not,
comp.
you don't,
They
You
can
can
they
volunteer.
do that though? Can they allow you to say I'll sign a waiver and
See,
say, I'm
that's- I have
self-insured?
some municipalities that basically have volunteers in the community come in and just help out from time to time. Well, they're not covered by workers' comp.
no.
And we require them to sign a waiver that says, you're gonna hold us harmless for anything that happens.
Okay, so there's the answer.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think that's
The
the
waiver
answer.
would be
But
the
this
answer
does
then.
expand it so that
Right.
some people can be more, you know,
Okay.
I think it's a good thing.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
really don't
we
have
have no
much
choice.
choice.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
This is the best we
It's
can
the way you
Yeah.
want it, it's the way it's written.
Anyway,
And it's up to the fire department to maintain those records on active members, participating
Right.
members, and social members, which they should have already.
so we need a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution approving operational support activities for participating members of the fire company.
And we have a second, okay. Any other discussion?
Do we have to then continue like it was in the past where we talk about each individual event and where they would be going, kind of like what Stewartstown is?
Oh, you're on the next page.
I understand I'm on the next page, but this time I understand.
Okay.
But do, in the future, no, so.
But this resolution, in similar format, will have to be adopted every year. Every year your policy renews, you have to authorize the agent that the borough, under the workers' comp policy, is covering a participating member.
Okay. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? My vote is aye. Okay. All right, this is a request to provide fire police services to Stewartstown Borough and Eureka Fire Company for special events. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. I think as long as we're not providing services to the Lions Club or to the carnival here, there wouldn't be any reason we wouldn't provide help, you know, so I would say,
I checked the dates and it's.
and we're okay, you know, I did too, so. Do we need a motion for that, or, okay, we need a motion to,
I'll make a motion, excuse me, accept,
approve Stewartstown.
approve Stewartstown's request for, help during the dates listed here.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Discussion?
Aye.
Yeah, did you want to discuss it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I always wanted discussion.
It's just like
I really think that before we do this, I think we should, not today, but in the future, I think what we need to do is double check with the fire chief or the president of the fire company to make sure that they are available, that they don't have something else going on, like maybe a fire training somewhere or something else going on that we aren't aware of.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're just saying it's okay with us.
Right.
Rodney still would have to say,
Okay, they can
we're
say,
available.
they can say, okay,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
if he's got something else going
We're not
on, he
making
could say, oh,
plans
we'd
for-
really love to help you, but we can't.
Understood.
Yeah, I didn't think that we were overriding the fire company by approving the request.
This request relates back to workers' comp.
Right, yeah, it's just saying, because we're covering the workman's comp for them going over there. But yeah, so it's fine. Okay, Northern Central Railroad, okay. Northern Central has 3 events where they want possible alcohol sales, and I think that these are, like, for instance, they might have a wine tasting on the train, which is actually something Inga had suggested they might want to try to do, or they might have somebody from a brewery come in and have you know, a craft brewery or something, do tastings on the train or whatever. And it's 3 events, 5, 9, 6, 5, and 10, oh, it's actually weekend, 10, 9, and 10, 10. And I see no problem with that unless,
Yeah, and this is just to have Windridge, most likely come in with their truck to be under their license, under their liquor liability, under Northern Central Railway's liability, so there's no issue with that this would occur in the parking lot, was where the truck would most likely be set up.
right.
But again, this is nothing, this is the license of Windridge and the insurance of Windridge along with NCR. This is just permission because they're on borough.
Borough property, right. So there's no liability.
In the future, it would be helpful if this is going to be part of the approval, a little bit more detail as to the.
So I am Rachel and I work for the Northern Central Railway, and this is Bob Dixon. It does not have anything to do with the train. This is not on the train. This would be a
In
food
the
truck.
park.
This would be Windridge coming to the municipal parking lot.
Right.
When we would be holding an event, the train would come to the location of the municipal parking lot. The passengers would get off and then have a roped off area where Windridge would then have their certificate of insurance or whatever it would be that would be part of your ordinance, that we would then have roped off for those passengers should they want to participate, or the public, any of the person in the community could participate. This would just be like another part of our event, basically.
So Windridge would check IDs, et cetera,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yeah, so I guess, Andy, you would be able to explain that part a little bit better, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew this had nothing to do with it on the train itself. This would be on the borough property, basically.
But you're sponsoring it, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be an event in our listings of events, and this would be a part of it. Either before or after the train ride, they would participate. We would not be serving alcohol on the train because we don't have a license.
Right, okay.
We would be using Windridge as a good example, but there are some others such as the Falls Brewery in Shrewsbury.
It could be
Gunpowder Falls.
anyone, you know what I mean? It could be anybody, basically.
But it would occur in the parking lot.
Right,
That's what we're looking for, is your concurrence.
right. So I
But
would need,
our requirement is for them to have the liability insurance and a license, et cetera.
So that's our
It's on our
it's
property.
already in place.
and you would have that, they would give that to you at the borough office. You'd need Windridge's insurance.
Right, they're going to be already naming the railway as
Right.
additionally insured.
But they need to be noting us as the addition.
Agreed.
If it's gonna be on our property and they're gonna be selling, I think we need to have at least an indemnification with harmless agreement, proper insurances in place, as well as then, I assume there's gonna be a plan filed with the LCD that shows the specific licensed area where the sales will take place and, okay.
Yeah, and they would have to do that based on their extension of premise,
Right.
their license, so.
So, I mean, provided you do that, I would accept the motion that would have the caveat in it that they need to provide the borough office with.
I'll make that motion.
Did you want me to say it again, or just
Yeah,
use that?
that was it.
Make the motion, you second
I'll
it,
make
and
the
then you
motion.
repeat it. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye.
Thank you.
Andy?
Yeah, we already did the, I have a couple more.
Andy, while the railroad people are here, do you want to tell them what we already approved?
I think they were here when we did it.
No.
Oh, you weren't here? Okay,
Oh, we were-
we voted to donate back to you 1/3 of the amusement tax for 2021.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you had,
Sorry, we were late. We had this down as, I had this down as 7.
oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
You only missed a lot of battling.
Huh?
You only missed a lot of battling.
Oh, right, okay. Two other quick things. We need a motion with Tanya leaving for Andy Schaefer to be the right-to-know officer and accept right-to-know requests and take care of the copying and all that kind of stuff, but it has to be an official motion, so I need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that Andy Schaefer replace Tanya Crawford as the right-to-know officer.
Okay,
I'll second.
Vernell seconds, all in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye. No. We also got a letter from John Hallemeyer representing the SYC Band Boosters. He wants to put a sign up for children involved in the band program, and basically it's just a band booster sign, and it's the Give Local York event that's going on, I think currently, isn't it?
May
No.
7th.
May 7th, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's going on now, or something giving? Oh, no, it's the best stuff, it's the best stuff, I'm sorry. So anyway, May 7th for the Give Local York, and he just wants to put a sign up on the borough property asking us to give to the band.
If possible, right in the, where the gazebo is, in that area, near the railroad
Sure,
crossing.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so traffic can see it.
Yeah, so I would, go ahead.
If I make a motion for that, can I make a vote for somebody?
Oh.
Sure, yeah. Why don't you combine it?
Well, I can make a motion that
It's for
we
Susquehanna Dam.
place a banner in an appropriately visible area supporting the May 7th Give Local York, and that anybody who wants to do something like that, for instance, for the Senior Citizen Center,
Sure.
that they can go to www.givelocalyork.org, and you can check out the nonprofits by looking up New Freedom Borough, and there are 6, which does also include Senior Center for New Freedom, and Glen Rock has 7, which does include the band boosters.
Okay, yeah,
I make a motion.
okay.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a seconded. All in favor? Opposed? My vote is aye.
May I ask one question? In that case, is there times and dates when I would be allowed to put that up, or?
I would, what would you like, a week before?
That's what I was thinking for.
Yeah, week
Okay.
before.
And I can just show up there with some other dads and just put it up and everything be okay?
Yeah, that should be
Awesome.
fine.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay, we were gonna have an executive session, but I think I'm just going to make sure that, to remind everybody that we do have a meeting with the lawyer on the 19th. And we all need to be there, and also remind everybody that we can't discuss anything about the lawsuit or the lawyers with anybody outside of our little group here, so. And that prevents us all from having to get up. So now we're back at public comment.
Okay.
Anything?
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
What time is that meeting?
I forget. 1 o'clock?
Let's go.
And that brings us to everybody's favorite part of the meeting, the motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Sorry it took so long. Had a lot of things to do.
It was like a people like, yeah, killed, right?
tell them. 1 o'clock on the 19th.
Yeah, but sometimes you want to fill them out.
Turn off the recording here.